And welcome back as we start to preview Week 6. FAU and FIU both coming off of big wins last weekend and enjoying the short week as FAU travels to FIU for the Shula Bowl this Thursday on FSN. Now, a top-rated FAU offense faces a top-rated FIU defense. But Ron, can the Owls get that offense to work on the road? Well,
I think that's the big key. But how cool is it to play in a game called the Shula Bowl? I love that. It's going to be in Miami, of course. But you made a great point because FAU's offense, they average 45 points, over 460 yards at home. They've got to do that on the road. I don't know if it's a mental block or what, but they're playing an outstanding FIU defense, so they're going to have to really kick it in offensively away from home.
Marshall at ODU, two of Conference USA's top quarterbacks matching up for the first time. Now the eyes are going to be on the defense in this one.
Oh yeah, because there could be a lot of points scored, but you look at Rakeem Cato, he is really on a roll as quarterback for Marshall. 40 points for that offense the last 4 games. Taylor Heineke, still one of the great quarterbacks in the conference. It's just going to be tough, I think, for ODU. How are you going to slow them down? Because Marshall comes at you with so many weapons. You think you stuff the run, then Cato goes over the top. This is a tough game for ODU. Marshall finally opening up conference play. I tell you what, I really like Marshall and the way they're playing right now. Tough, tall order, I think, for ODU.
Southern Miss QB Nick Mullins coming off his most productive game of the season, but now he'll have to face a Middle Tennessee defense led by playmaking safety Kevin Byard.
Well, that's the key. I mean, did Nick Mullins get some confidence last week? As you mentioned, best game he's had this year. We saw him last year take over the quarterback position in October. This young man is starting to grow. But you look at Kevin Byard, probably the best defensive player in the conference right now. You know, don't talk about height, weight, speed, anything. The guy's a playmaker. And I guarantee that they're going to keep an eye on where Byard is at all time on the field and try to keep throwing away from him.
I think they're a much improved football team from last year. I think they're really, really good up front on defense. They're active, they're big, they can run. Their secondary is physical, and they got a couple guys back there that can run also. And you know, I think it's going to be a really good challenge for our offense in competing against them defensively.
This is WKU's first Conference USA home game hosting UAB. Ron, both offenses ranked 2 and 3 in total offense.
Well, I think you look at the offense, you say, okay, both schools are very good offensively. That's great. We know they're able to move the football. Whose defense is going to step up in this football game? Somebody's got to slow down the other guy. The team that does that's going to win. Western Kentucky coming off a big win. I think they're starting to click now offensively, especially defense. Who's going to step up?
Now we're on to conference play. We're looking forward to it. Our first home conference game of the Conference USA era. It's a big game for us. Both of us and UAB are sitting at 0-1 in the conference. We both need to find a way to win the football game. UAB has definitely improved this year compared to what they were last year. You know, they've won 2 games. They played Mississippi State, a top SEC school, down to the wire. Had to lead in the second half for a little bit. So it's definitely going to be a very good football game. To get back at home is huge for us. We love playing here in front of our fans. It's a great setting for us. You know, to get back into a lot of conference games coming up, it's important for us. We've studied these guys a lot throughout the summer, and we're looking forward to getting this thing started and hopefully finding a way to win and beat UAB on Saturday.
UTEP travels to Louisiana Tech as both schools are looking to rebound after losses to top 25 opponents. Now the spotlight is going to be on the ground as 2 of the league's best running backs match up this Saturday.
Well, they're not only 2 of the best running backs in the conference, they're also the conference's top 2 scorers in Aaron Jones and Kenneth Dixon. I love Dixon the way he runs. Runs a little upright. But watching him versus a team like Oklahoma, which is considered one of the best defenses in the country, they had problems tackling this guy. Now, for Louisiana Tech, how are you going to get that bitter taste out of your mouth after the loss they had this past week? That's going to be tough. We've talked about it on this show so many times. You can't let that opponent beat you twice. And I think right now Coach Holtz has got to get these guys mentally prepared as much as physically prepared. And UTEP had a great game a couple of weeks ago against New Mexico State. They were rolling. They're coming off a tough loss to Kansas State. How are they going to rebound? Interesting mental game going on here.
You know, what we've learned is that when we do what we're designed to do, we can compete with anybody. We can line up and compete with Auburn. We can line up and compete with Oklahoma. And I think we gained a lot of confidence after those games. I think we also showed that, you know, when we play within our system and protect the ball and we play smart and we don't turn it over and we do little things the right way, we can line up and we can be really good in our league with wins against Lafayette and North Texas. But then we've also proven that when we turn the ball over and we take lost yardage plays and we give up big plays and we're not very good in the red zone defensively, we can be beat by anybody too. And I think that's what we've learned in these first 5 games, and I think they've been valuable lessons. And this football team, I think, is evolving. It is growing. And I think right now this is the mark of a new season for us because it's all been talked about with conference. Our 4 non-conference games are done. We went through a tough slate. We talked about the first 5 games, 4 of them on the road against bowl teams, the challenge it was going to be, playing 3 games in 13 days, all the things that were talked about early and the challenges that we had. I'm really proud of this team and the way that they competed through a lot of these challenges.
Let's take a look at the other Conference USA matchups this week. Ron, what are some games that stand out to you?
I tell you, the one that I'm really watching is UTSA hosting New Mexico in the Alamo Dome. I think this is a pivotal, must-win situation for UTSA. You know, coaches don't want to talk about must-win situations, but if UTSA wants to go to their first bowl game, they have to win this football game. Now, you're going up against a New Mexico team, the Lobos. They run, run, and run. Over 80% of their offense is on the run game. How are you going to slow that down? And I think for UTSA, you've got to get your offense clicking too. I think it's a must-win situation. Hopefully they'll have a huge crowd in the Dome that day, but if UTSA wins this football game, I think it'll be a catapult for the rest of the season.